Facebook Live is about how to get students for your improv workshop. And this applies to both online and offline, but I'll give a few examples of online workshops because, that's the world we live in these days. For those of you who are seeing this video and seeing me for the first time, my name is Laura. I am from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. And I'm making now weekly Facebook Lives about anything around teaching improv. At the end of this Facebook Live, I will have a few things for you. One is an exercise you can do yourself and a scoop for what is going to happen after this. So hold on for that one. In the meantime, I'm going to give you a few tips about how to find students. This morning I talked to my Instagram followers about that, and I realized I could talk about this topic for days. So I am going to do my very, very best to keep this concise, which also means that I will not be complete. Just as a caveat before. Getting students into your workshop. First, a few basics, because I think it's good to hear them. And maybe there are a few you're like, I know this one. Great. You could just feel really good about yourself then. But I'll try to give a few tips about those basics. So, one is, this is super obvious, I'll say it anyway. Your students for your workshop should know about the workshop. They should be able to know about it. So why am I saying this? Because sometimes you think, oh, I have made it super clear that I'm teaching this workshop. But if you don't have a website or a Facebook event or somewhere where all the information can be found, it is very difficult to promote that. Because even if, let's say, someone is like, oh, I want to take your workshop, if they cannot find it, if they do not have a place where they can get the information and find out how to sign up for it, then that intention they have to take your workshop is very quickly killed. So do you have a workshop page? Do you have a Facebook event? And does that place have all the information in there? So I think you don't need to have a website, but having like a good solid Facebook event or another place where you put all the info is really a good one. Also know that not everyone is on Facebook. So make sure that, for instance, people can see it, that it's a public event. About Facebook, the algorithm doesn't show everything to everyone all the time. You know that, right? Like, not everyone is seeing your stuff. So that means that you will have to promote it multiple times in order for people to actually see it. So keep that a little bit in mind once you start feeling awkward. And we'll talk about the awkwardness of self-promotion at the end. But you actually do need to show it in different manners in order to reach the most number of people. All right, so one basic is they should be able to know about it. Second basic is the people who are your potential students should have an idea of what they will get. Because we tend to not sign up for things that are kind of vague or that we don't really have an idea of what it is about. Which means that people do not decide, no, I'm not going to take that workshop. People decide, ooh, I am not fully understanding this thing. I will look at it later. And this look at it later, that will kill any number of students you could possibly get. So having a blurb or a title, preferably both, that are really clear on what's going to happen and what people will get is really important in this one. Even if it means that they are reading it and they're like, oh, I know what this is. I don't need that. So for instance, saying what level the workshop is or for what type of people this workshop is great. You might think, oh, but that will like limit it. No, it will make people feel, this is me, or this is not me, which will lead them into a decision. And you want that. You want them to make any decision. some things that are concrete that you could, like improv is kind of vague, right? Like, what the hell do we do? Like, it's thin air and then it's gone again. So how can you make this sort of this thing that is hard to grasp, how can you make that as concrete as possible? So pictures are a great way of like showing like, look, this is how people in my workshop look like. Or look, this is how much they're smiling. But it can also be, these are the types of scenes that come out of it. This was an example of a story that was told. Testimonials. So getting from students who have taken your workshop some sort of like concrete description of what they got out of it. These are all little things that make a potential student look at your thing, go like, oh, I also want to develop in that area. Or, hey, they seem to be having so much fun on that picture. I'm getting an idea of what it would look like if I would put me in there. So getting this as concrete as possible is really fun, especially with improv because it's so vague. And I think if you can, for instance, also do like, can you describe a little exercise, just one exercise from it? It just makes it a little bit more graspable. I know if that's a word, graspable. All right, so third basic I want to talk to you about is, are you as a teacher, so we're talking about you yourself, are you the right person for them? Because if they feel good about you and that you are the person that will get them to a place where they want to be, that will also make them more likely to sign up. A really easy one is put your picture in there. This is something I told about with this Facebook Live. I put my own picture in there. That's awkward, I know. Again, we're going to talk some more about awkwardness of self-promotion. But it makes it... Sorry, I was so distracted because the chat comes coming into the screen. Sorry about that. So the awkwardness of putting your own picture in there, I get that. But if you show them who you are, it makes it, again, easier for people to imagine what the workshop will look like. And an online workshop even more has this feeling of like, yeah, but what is it? And if you're going to show a face will make it just easier for them to imagine what it actually is going to be like. Another way you can think about it is to look at your blurb and to put, what is your style of teaching? So how do you tend to communicate with people? What style of exercises do you bring? What have people said about you as a teacher? All of that gives them a feeling of like, oh, I actually like a really direct approach. Or, oh, this is a teacher that is known for prioritizing safety. Oh, that is exactly what I need now this week. So can you describe who you are in a way that makes people have a better feeling of what they will get in the workshop? And you can, and not everyone feels comfortable with this, but how could they know you? Were you featured somewhere? Were you in a festival? Are you traveling? Are you part of a school they could know about? So what is anything that makes them give more information of who you are and therefore feel more safe to give their money and their time to you? If you feel comfortable with it, make a little video. Just, like this with a phone and just say like, hey, this is me. I'm your teacher. I'm excited to do this workshop because of this, this, and this. Or I made this workshop because of X, Y, and Z. And just having students see you move on camera is great. Also, did you know that in most of social media, video is very, that is pushed to the front. So feel free to try that out, just like I'm doing. You see that? You see that? All right, so in the basics we had, they should be able to know. Second thing is, they should be able to know what they're going to get. So what are your students getting? And then the third thing was, are you as a teacher the right person for them? And make sure that they're able to make that decision. And the fourth basic, and this, I know how basic this is, but I'll say it anyway. Why? Because I recently really forgot. That is, ask them to take action. You know this thing that they sometimes say about call to action? you actually have to do that. So you actually have to tell people what they should do once they've read your blurb and got enthusiastic, once they saw your video and think, oh, this is a nice teacher. So what should they do now? Now, of course, we want them to sign up. That's what we want. Please sign up. But sometimes sign up is a big hurdle. So if you can say sign up, but you can also say, or send me a message if you want to have some more information. I'm happy to answer any question. You could also, if you're doing an offline workshop, contact me for a free trial lesson. Like, what are like the tiny little steps that you can invite them to do to take some sort of action? Because once they start doing a little bit, like a tiny little action with you, a little bit of what they call conversions, then the next step of signing up isn't as scary anymore. If you're on Instagram, having like some sort of interaction on Instagram stories or Instagram posts are also, I think, so they call this mini conversions. Sorry, I'm a nerd about this stuff. But having potential students have a little bit of interaction with you is really nice. If you have a Facebook event, see if you can like comment something yourself. Have your friends ask them to comment on the event, because then people will start reading more and they can interact by like answering about it or liking your comment. So all these tiny little interactions that you have with your potential students makes them feel more safe towards you, makes them more aware of the topic. All of that will push them closer into actually signing up. So these were the 4 basics that I wanted to talk about. Are they able to know? Are they able to know what they are going to get? Are you the right person for them? And ask them to take action. So now let's talk about the awkwardness of self-promotion, because I know, and especially as me getting out there, it might seem like I am not awkward, but I am. And it takes a little while it takes training and practice to get less awkward. And what really helped me and what I wanted to share with you is, if you consider yourself a tiny little business, or a big business, but anyway, a business, you are doing many different roles, right? You are also, for instance, the financial department, because you are the person who sends the invoices. You are the reception, because you are the one that answers the phone whenever someone calls you. That also means you are the marketing department. And the marketing department has the role of putting the content and the person behind it forward in the best possible way. So even if you wake up feeling like I don't feel great about myself, or I'm not feeling super confident today, your marketing department has a job. And the job of the marketing department is to bring the person and the content forward in the best possible way. So if you're able to sort of like disconnect a little bit how you actually feel and what your business needs, then you can start promoting yourself in a way that where you put the best parts of the teacher, also you, forward. So I hope that makes it a little bit clear, at least how I approach it, because sometimes I will try to think of, for instance, what students have said about my workshop, and then I will put that forward. So, for instance, I have a workshop and I am not having enough students in there. I want to share the Facebook event again, or I want to put the website forward in some other medium, and I can, for instance, say, former students really enjoyed the blah 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 that we did, or players who have taken this workshop always leave the workshop room full of energy. Like, those are not, it's not me bragging, it's those things actually happened, and I am responsible as the marketing department to tell those things to potential students. Good. All right. So last thing I want to talk about is who is hot and who is not. And so we're going to talk a little bit about warm leads and cold leads. because I think, and this is actually why this entire Facebook Live came about, because I was talking to a colleague of mine last week, and she was saying how, yeah, she had made a Facebook event and she promoted it. To my taste, not enough, but okay, she shared it in a few places. And then I was asked the question, like, in what other places or what other media should I share it? And what I felt that she was underestimating was the power of warm leads. Who in your environment, as an independent improv teacher, who is already warm for you? Who is already excited about what you do, or at least knows who you are? Like, we're talking not even like super hot. We're talking like warm, lukewarm leads. Because if you know who already knows you and who already knows your stuff and who maybe actually has a good experience or has heard of a good experience with you, they are much closer to you already, which means that you don't need to do as much work as you would with a person who has never heard of you, has never heard of the topic, and is somewhere out there, and you need to let them know what improv is, what your topic is, that you should be trusted, that they should be excited, all of that. That's a lot of work. So my question to you is, who is already a warm lead? And I'm just going to give you a few examples from my life, and hopefully that will help you think of who is warm in your network. So people that are very warm for my stuff are people who have already taken my workshop. So next week I'm actually teaching a workshop, and the people that are particularly warm are those who have already taken my workshop online, but not in this topic. Because I know they've already paid, they've already freed up at night, they, I think, had a really good time. So those are the easiest, the warmest leads I have. Then there are people who maybe have taken my workshop, but not online. So they are warm for me and my topics, but not per se for online. So I will contact them, and maybe in the way I contact them, I will say, what is cool about online is this, and this. The thing I say is, this topic I am going to teach online. I actually do not teach it offline. So if you're interested in this, you have to take the online workshop. I'm in a few WhatsApp groups with my students, even students I don't teach anymore. Those WhatsApp groups are great for me, sharing a link where I just say a little bit like, hey, students from my hometown, I know you know me as your teacher. I wouldn't say that directly, but hey, I'm teaching a workshop online and we haven't done that yet. But if you're curious, here, blah, blah, blah. So those are very warm for me. Like another group of potential students for me could also be the people who I play with. So they haven't taken my workshop, but they know me, right? So because they know me, they already know that I do improv and that I'm a nice person, but they maybe do not know that I also teach, or they maybe have not taken my workshop yet. So reaching out to the people I play with and telling them, hey, I am going to teach a workshop. If you want to take it, I would love it. Or, hey, I'm going to teach a workshop. If you know of other people who would love to take it, please forward it to them. But then also they now know. So we're getting like slightly less cold, but all these people are really warm leads. And I want you, while I talk about this, think about who is very warm for you. You know who's also a very warm lead? Your mother. Probably. Not for everyone, but probably. One of your parents, both your parents, your family, all of those people are really, I hope, for you as a person. You don't need to convince them that they're safe or that you're going to have a good time with them, because they already know that. That means that even if your mother is not an improviser, or maybe if she's not even interested in taking a workshop, if she talks about you in her little, I don't know, what shall we, like gardening club, then chances are she's going to do it in a very positive way. So you can ask those things. Here are a few more. Work contacts, people that know you as a person, from that you're a professional, maybe not through improv. Can you introduce the thing you're teaching to them? Your friends. Yeah, your friends. You wouldn't believe, like, I had one of my best friends in a workshop yesterday, and I kind of felt like, but I'm asking, you're paying money for this workshop. And she was so happy. And I was so happy to have her there, because apparently this workshop was exactly what she needed. So who am I to take that away from my own friend, right? All your connections on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, email, all of those are people that are not like some of them are warm and some of them are colder, but they know you. And because they know you, they are much, much more interesting to promote to than anyone who has never heard of you. You do know that in Gmail there are signatures, right? Because signatures are a really fun way to, with every email, put not just your name and phone number, but also like, hey, did you know I'm teaching a workshop? Like, you could put that in your email signature, and it also takes away a little bit the effort of you having to think about it or to mention it, but just with every email, bam, it's under it. So find signatures in your Outlook or your Gmail, whatever you're using. Good. All right. So that is my exercise for you today. Who are your very warm, lukewarm people in your network? And if you're willing to share, like, oh, I suddenly realized the people I know from my other hobby, or this group of students I once taught a beginner's class to, like, where are these people hanging out? And if you want to share that in the comments to inspire other people, please do, because, we're all in this together. I definitely think that improv does not compete with improv. Improv competes with all the other things you can do with your time and your money. So that's why we can and we should help each other. All right? Oh, the scoop. I almost forgot the scoop. So I am going to be teaching a 6-week online course. And the name of that course is Teaching Improv with Confidence. And it's a course for people who want to go into teaching improv or who are still at the beginning of their career. I am going to put a link down there. You can now, but that's a little bit of scoop, you can now sign up for the interest list, because I'm going to be releasing that in a month or two. And if you want to have the first email about it, so if you want to be the first to know, but also if you want to get a nice discount, then you can leave your email address in there. Second thing I wanted to share with you is I have a free workbook, and many of you have already downloaded it, so thank you, because that's really cool to see. And a lot of you also shared with them what topics, titles, and blurbs came out of that workbook for them, because the workbook helps you develop those things. And because in the beginning we talked about making your text for your workshop so concrete as possible. So if you don't have the workbook yet, it's really helpful for that, because I ask you these questions, and after these questions, sort of like the blurb follows out of it. So I'm going to put all of those links in the description. If you have any questions about how to get students for your workshop, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'm going to be hanging out there now and later. And yeah, let's share with each other what we know and where our warm, hot, and lukewarm students, potential students, hang out.